I know, it's alright. You can let it out. Hey friend, I'm Danny Irizarry. Welcome to my actor log. Hey look, mail! gbrooks0513 says, I'm doing a scene from Hacksaw Ridge for a showcase, and I need my character to tear up. Any suggestions? Well, gbrooks, let's try to answer that without having an incredibly depressing video. Crying on cue is probably one of the most common and hardest things you'll get asked to do as an actor.
Now, I've never been able to cry as an actor, so if I'm in a scene where I have to cry, I cut a hole in my pocket, take a pair of tweezers, and just start pulling.
Before you start learning how to cry, you have to decide what kind of cry you're going for. Subtle and realistic.
She was only 6 years old.
Or ugly crying. I've heard casting directors say that you shouldn't just all-out bawl in an audition, like a certain somebody I know. Ew. When you cry in real life, you generally don't just explode into tears. Often you kind of try and hold it back and not just turn into a puddle. Similarly, when you're in an audition, you have to show the character's sadness, but also show their struggle to try and hold it back and be brave. Of course, that doesn't apply to every audition, but it's a pretty good rule of thumb and will just help add another layer to your audition. It comes more naturally to some than to others, but I would say there are 3 common ways to go about crying in a scene. Number 1, a tear stick. Number 2, emotional recall. And number 3, just holding your eyes open. The tear stick. It's generally a pretty reliable way to cry in a scene, though some may consider it cheap or an inauthentic way of acting.
Oh, okay, honey. Well, that would be cheating.
You can buy a tear stick on Amazon even, and the way it works is you put it under your eyes, and it's designed to irritate your eyes so they water up and you get tears. If you do buy one, make sure you read the instructions that come with the product. You only have 2 eyes, and you probably want to keep them in mint condition. But Danny, I'm doing a scene tomorrow, and I don't have time to buy a tear stick. What do I do? Well, you should probably choose one of the other 2 options, but if you are dead set on using an eye irritant, there are a couple of DIY options. These are likely less safe, but they can be equally effective. Just, come on man, be safe. One option is to use toothpaste, and please use caution.
You should be careful.
It's not good to get the toothpaste in your eye, but if you take a little bit and put it on your lower lid, it can irritate your eyes enough to get tears. You can also use icy hot to the same effect, but I'm gonna say it again, be careful! Don't blame me if your eyes pop out, because I told you not to do it. Don't do it. Just don't. Number 2, emotional recall. Emotional recall is probably the most theatrically respected way of crying in a scene. It's also one of the hardest methods. The principle behind this method is to find some past sentiment or something you emotionally connect with so that you can get to the right emotional point in the scene. For example, if you had a pet that died or a friend that went through a really tough time, you can think back to that and relive it to try and get back into that emotional state. Oddly enough, however, I wouldn't recommend this either. And here's why. First of all, it can be emotionally damaging. Going back and living through trauma is almost never a good thing, especially if you deal with depression, which a lot of actors do. Also, you don't want to diminish the importance of the experience you've had. If you keep going back to it time after time, eventually you'll start to become almost numb to the memory of that experience. Lastly, once you've finished using that memory to get to that emotional state, the problem is that that experience has still happened. It makes it very hard to just move on with your life. So then, Danny, what do you suggest? Well, a safer way to go about doing this is just to use your imagination. It sounds stupid, but in all seriousness, it can be very effective. What you need to do is imagine something terrible happening. And not just something that would be horrible, but something that you can relate to. So maybe not a natural disaster, but something that could happen to you personally. Maybe you imagine that your cat dies or that your house burns down, and you have to explore that reality and really get into the details of how that scene plays out in your head. The benefit of doing this, though, is that when you're done, you can just step away. It isn't real, so you're not opening up old wounds, and you won't get dulled to important memories. And you can always come up with a new situation too, so you don't become immune to this effective situation that you've come up with in your head. Boom. Problem solved. Number 3. Just holding your eyes open. I don't think this one takes a lot of explaining. You just hold your eyes open until they start to water.
Bring it!
It's not a terribly complicated principle, and anybody who does staring contests regularly is probably already pretty good at this. Really, you just hold your eyes open and don't blink for a while, and then when your eyes start to hurt a little bit, if you close your eyes and open them again, you should be able to produce tears. It's not that hard. So that's it for this video. I think this is the only time where I'll say I hope this video was able to make you cry. Once again, thanks to gbrooks0513 for the fabulous question. If you have any questions for me, you can comment or send me a message on Facebook or Snapchat, and I will make a video answering that. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to get into character. Questions for me, you can comment or send me a message on Facebook. Memories.